in the war, but wasn't then, thank goodness. But the October 15th referendum was more or less characterized by 3 hours of peace, during which I believe a total of 9 people voted in the city who weren't Iraqi army soldiers. It was certainly no more than 150, in addition to approximately 800 or 1,000 Iraqi army soldiers. And after those 9 people voted, the terrorists launched attacks all across the city until people stopped voting, and then that was it.
Okay. And I guess my question was, but I think you answered it, is the fact that the citizens, why did they not come out and they knew that the terrorists were in the city and they were going to do it?
Yeah, and the vignette I tell is from one of my sites. This is where these 9 citizens voted. It was on a piece of terrain called IED Elbow, which is ironic in and of itself. It was on Sunset Avenue. And we established the site. We moved the Iraqi army and the ICHI workers to the actual school. And then we pulled back about 200 meters and went into external cordon, outer cordon security. The Iraqi army set up internal cordon security and provided the security for the ICHI workers. We had approximately 6 or 8 Marines that were on site with them to be communications relays and perform functions like that. The Jundi did it all. It was great. The 8 Marines more or less stayed in the back room as they were instructed. We didn't want them to be observed.
And Jundi, that's Arabic for soldiers.
Soldiers.
Okay.
When polling opened, I think it was 8 o'clock in the morning. Nobody showed up. It was quiet in the city. 8:30, nobody still showed up. 9 o'clock, a person comes to vote. Tremendous act of courage, given that they had to believe that the terrorists were watching the polling place. And then 2 people came to vote, and then a few more people came to vote. And when the 9th person had voted, let's say by 11, there was a degree of momentum forming. Maybe 50 or 100 people would have voted by the end of the day. A 9-round mortar barrage fell right across the street from the polling site, just outside the front door, maybe 40, 50 meters. An RPG was fired at the 7-ton that was being used, manned by 2 Jundi, to be a mobile pillbox of sorts, blocking an alley from the south. So north side of the polling site, south side of the polling site, both attacked. And a few small arms rounds were fired. And for the rest of the day, nobody came to vote. Predictable circumstance, given that it's dangerous, but in our minds, which I think has been validated by history, but it was impossible to know at the time, that whole process constitutes a victory for us, because although the elections weren't super successful or highly participated in, it demonstrated that the terrorists had to shoot to actively keep the people away from participating in the process. And that had to go down, we were sure, as a moral defeat for the terrorists. Their ability to say that they were here for the benefit of Iraqis disappeared to increasing extent every time an event like that had to occur. So.
Okay. Well, 2 questions dealing with the voting. One, the company or battalion had 30 days to prepare for this. You just arrived, like you said. The RIP occurred on the 15th of September, and the elections are supposed to take place on October 15th. That seems like an awful lot to be able to get done within a 30-day period. How did the battalion and especially your company deal with that?
Well, it wasn't from a cold start. The battalion that preceded us, 1st Battalion, 5th Marines, they made the plan for the elections. They scouted the sites. They figured out how many would be at each location, how many voting booths would be at each place, which determines throughput that you can take. So more or less, we took a finished plan from 1-5, familiarized ourselves with it, and then we tweaked it significantly in the few days before the elections, but ultimately we executed their plan, which could make it 3 months in the works, not just 30 days in the works.
Okay. So the battalion prior pretty much had everything, well, not everything, but most of the planning part of it planned out for you.
Yeah, they got the ball rolling, set us up well to be able to make our own analysis, and then whatever we tweaked from their plan was just based on the preferences we had for how we wanted to do it.
Okay. The last question I have is, as you said, history is validating the fact that it was a success. But at the time, like you said, the following day, October 16th, did the Marines themselves feel like perhaps maybe the voting wasn't a success in the sense that only what appeared to be 9 Ramadi citizens, or like I said, maybe 50 or so, actually voted?
I don't think the Marines really think of things in those terms. If you asked a Marine the next day, what do you think today of things, he would say, great day.